The room is silent, except for the heartbeat pounding in his ears. Screens flash red, billions are at stake. Everyone's panicking, shouting, refreshing charts. But at the center of it all, one man just sits back, breathing slowly. No anger, no fear, just calm focus. Moments like this decide who breaks and who bends, who loses everything, and who sees clearly enough to turn chaos into opportunity. What if I told you the richest, calmest minds on Earth, people like Warren Buffett or Elon Musk, rely on a 2,000-year-old mental habit, something that lets them face disaster with the stillness of a monk and the precision of a surgeon? Pressure, chaos, uncertainty, we all feel them. But while most of us get swept away by emotion, the world's most composed leaders seem to stand still inside the storm. Why? They don't panic, they pause. If you've ever felt crushed by pressure, stay with me, because this one stoic shift might just change how you handle every storm in life. To understand it, we need to go back, not to Silicon Valley, but to ancient Greece, where one man discovered how to remain calm when the world burns. Long before the term billionaire mindset ever existed, one man faced pressures far greater than any CEO could imagine. His name was Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, commander of vast armies, ruler of a fractured empire. Every sunrise brought a new crisis. Wars at the borders, betrayal in the Senate, plague ravaging his cities, and the slow, quiet heartbreak of losing his own children. And yet, somehow, he stayed calm. He didn't have advisors whispering affirmations or therapists on call. What he had was a philosophy, a way of living so powerful it would echo across millennia. Today, we call it Stoicism. A Roman emperor writes by candlelight. His empire trembles. His pen moves slowly. Each word a reminder. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. A Wall Street trader checks his screen. The market is collapsing. Sweat gathers at his collar. And then he recalls that same principle passed through time. Focus only on what you can control. Two men, worlds apart, facing the same chaos, united by one timeless idea. Stoicism wasn't born in comfort, it was forged in survival. To Marcus, it wasn't a philosophy to study, it was a shield against the emotional storms that could destroy him. And this shield, this mental framing, is what billionaires quietly practice today, whether they know it or not. Marcus understood something simple yet radical. The human mind wastes most of its strength fighting battles it cannot win. We panic about the future, replay mistakes from the past, worry about opinions that vanish in a day. He called this illusion of control the root of suffering. To counter it, he developed what we now call the control dichotomy, the art of separating what is within your control from what is not. When Elon Musk faces a rocket explosion, or when Warren Buffett watches markets crash, they're applying the same idea. Focus your energy where it matters. The rest, let it burn away. 1. The control dichotomy, the first shield. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca all agreed, peace begins when you draw the line. Some things are up to us, and some are not. Epictetus. This wasn't just moral wisdom, it's neurological. Modern psychology calls it locus of control. Studies show that people who believe they can influence outcomes, even in small ways, experience less anxiety, recover faster from setbacks, and perform better under stress. So the Stoics trained themselves to pause before reacting. They'd ask, is this within my control? If yes, act with reason. If not, release it. That pause, that micro moment of clarity, is the difference between panic and power. 2. Negative visualization, the second shield. Now here's the paradox. The Stoics also practiced imagining the worst-case scenario. They called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. To modern ears, that sounds pessimistic, but to the Stoics, it was freedom. Marcus would picture losing his crown, his fortune, even his life, not to suffer in advance, but to prepare his soul. Seneca wrote, "He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming." And science agrees. Psychologists today call it exposure therapy. When you confront your fears in the mind, your body learns not to fear them in reality. Billionaires use this unconsciously. They play out scenarios, plan contingencies, and desensitize themselves to failure. That's why when catastrophe strikes, they don't freeze. They've already been there, in their minds.
3. Voluntary discomfort, the third shield. Stoicism wasn't about comfort, it was about strength through chosen hardship. Seneca advised sleeping on the floor once a month, eating the simplest food, wearing rough clothes. Why? Because luxury breeds dependence, and dependence breeds fear. If you know you can survive with less, the loss of wealth no longer terrifies you. Modern high performers still use this. Tim Ferriss fasts. Navy SEALs take cold plunges. Entrepreneurs go silent for days to detach from noise. The idea is the same. Practice discomfort to stay calm when it arrives uninvited. It's not masochism, it's mental insurance. Now, picture this. A Roman emperor sits in a tent, writing by candlelight. A CEO stands in a boardroom, breathing through a failed launch. A trader watches his portfolio tumble. All three are practicing the same discipline, not of the body, but of the mind. They've learned that control begins where panic ends. The truth is, Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotion, it's about steering it. When Marcus Aurelius wrote Meditations, he wasn't trying to sound wise, he was trying to stay sane. Each page was a therapy session, a reminder that the external world is chaos, but the inner world can remain still. And that's what billionaires today unconsciously channel, through morning routines, silence before decisions, or calm in crisis. Their real advantage isn't money, it's mental separation. They've mastered the art of seeing the storm and choosing not to enter it. Try it. Right now, name one thing that's been stressing you out. A deadline? A difficult person? A financial worry? Now draw a line. What part of this do you truly control? What part exists entirely outside your reach? Breathe into that answer. Notice the calm creeping in. That's not magic. That's Stoicism. But how did billionaires take these ancient candlelit insights and turn them into power in the modern boardroom? We'll explore that next. The modern billionaire connection. It's not philosophy quotes taped on their desks. It's a daily mental ritual. The calm you see in billionaires isn't luck, genetics, or personality. It's practice. It's Stoicism reborn in a modern boardroom suit. Jeff Bezos, 2001. The dot-com bubble just burst. Amazon stock has collapsed from $100 to $6. Investors are calling him delusional. Analysts predict bankruptcy. Even his own employees whisper, maybe he pushed it too far. In the middle of it all, Bezos walks into the office smiling, calm, centered. When asked how he's handling the pressure, he simply says, "We can't control the stock price. We can control our customer focus." That single sentence is pure Stoicism. It's Marcus Aurelius translated into startup language. Bezos had pre-decided his calmness. The Stoic habit of saying, if X happens, I'll do Y. If the market crashes, focus on what serves customers. If people doubt you, focus on what builds trust. If failure looms, focus on learning. That's pre-decided calmness, the first Stoic pillar billionaires internalize. Bezos didn't suppress emotion, he reframed it. Instead of being crushed by fear, he redirected energy into the one arena he could control: effort and direction. Ray Dalio, 1982. He had just bet everything on an economic collapse, and he was wrong. Lost millions, fired employees, borrowed money from his father just to survive. That kind of humiliation breaks most people. But Dalio didn't crumple. He observed. He describes that moment not as failure, but as his pain plus reflection equals progress awakening. In that reflection, he unknowingly applied another Stoic method, what Marcus Aurelius called the view from above. Dalio zoomed out. Instead of being the desperate man in crisis, he imagined himself watching himself from above, seeing the entire arc of his life, his choices, and his emotions as if from a bird's-eye view. From that altitude, fear looks small. Mistakes become data. And ego, the thing that screams, "I can't lose," loses its grip. Dalio's version of Stoicism wasn't ancient or mystical. It was spreadsheet logic applied to the soul. He built his company, Bridgewater Associates, on that principle. Treat every problem as a data point, not a personal wound. That's the second pillar, the view from above. Zooming out doesn't mean detaching from life. It means detaching from panic. Tim Ferriss, 2013. At the height of his success, Ferriss was on the edge of burnout. Best-selling books, packed speaking tours, but inside, anxiety. He feared losing what he'd built. Then he stumbled upon Letters from a Stoic by Seneca. One passage changed everything. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. So Ferriss created an exercise he now calls fear setting, a modern Stoic ritual. He'd write down his biggest fears in detail, like, what if I fail? What if I go broke? Then beside each, he'd list, what could I do to prevent this?
If it happened, how could I recover? As logic replaced emotion, the monsters in his mind shrank. He realized fear wasn't a signal to stop, it was data to plan. That's the third pillar, daily reflection. Just like Marcus Aurelius wrote nightly in his journal, Ferriss faces his fears on paper, and by doing so, he drains them of power. Let's pause for a second. Bezos focusing on customers. Dalio zooming out. Ferriss fear setting. 3 men, 3 eras, 1 method. Stoicism reprogrammed for the modern world. These are not abstract lessons, they're survival tools. Pre-decide calmness. Rehearse your reaction before chaos hits. View from above. Zoom out until emotions lose their grip. Daily reflection. Confront fear until it loses its mystery. Each one is a thread connecting the candlelight of Marcus Aurelius to the fluorescent glare of the trading floor. Fact meets practice. Neuroscience backs this ancient wisdom. When you pre-decide behavior under stress, the brain's amygdala, the panic center, stays quiet. When you reframe emotion from a higher perspective, your prefrontal cortex activates, restoring logic. And when you journal daily, you literally rewire neural pathways tied to resilience. In short, Stoicism wasn't just philosophy, it was early cognitive behavioral therapy. Modern billionaires simply made it their morning ritual. Imagine this. Tomorrow, your inbox explodes. Deadlines collide. Someone criticizes your work. You feel your pulse rising, your chest tightening, the edge of chaos. Now pause. Ask one question. Is this within my control? If yes, take one clear action. If no, breathe and let it go. You've just practiced Stoicism. No toga, no marble columns. Just awareness, logic, and calm. That's the secret behind the so-called billionaire mindset. It's not ambition, it's not hustle, It's emotional control, born from ancient wisdom and practiced through modern systems. Bezos mastered it to keep Amazon alive. Dalio used it to rebuild from failure. Ferris used it to escape anxiety. And all of them proved the same truth. Wealth magnifies your world, but Stoicism steadies it. But there's still one hidden layer, something even the Stoics rarely talked about. It's not what you think that keeps you calm, it's how you train your body to follow your thoughts. In other words, the emotional reprogramming behind their calm. And that's where we're heading next, the inner training. Calm isn't born in crisis, it's trained in silence. Most people wait until chaos hits to look for peace. But the calm you see in billionaires or in ancient philosophers wasn't discovered in the middle of the storm. It was built long before the thunder. Imagine tomorrow morning. Your phone is buzzing, emails flood in, notifications flash, deadlines loom. Your chest tightens, but you don't react. You breathe. You smile, untouched. That's not luck, that's trained calm. It's the same state Roman emperors cultivated by candlelight and modern founders craft in quiet rooms before sunrise. Because both the Stoics and today's billionaires understand a timeless truth. The body is the gateway to the mind. You can't think clearly if your nervous system is in chaos. So before mastering strategy, they mastered stillness. 1. The pause reflex, slowing down the body to calm the mind. When chaos hits, most people speed up. They talk faster, scroll faster, decide faster. But calm thinkers do the opposite. They pause. The Stoics called this the interval. It's the sacred space between impulse and action, the breath before response. Marcus Aurelius practiced it before addressing soldiers or senators. He would pause, inhale, and silently remind himself, is this within my control? Modern science calls this parasympathetic activation. When you take a slow breath, especially an exhale longer than your inhale, you stimulate the vagus nerve, the body's built-in calm switch. It lowers heart rate, relaxes muscles, and reopens access to rational thinking. Naval Ravikant begins every morning in stillness. No meetings, no screens, just breathing and awareness. He once said, a calm mind leads to right action. That's not philosophy, that's biology. When you practice stillness daily, you build what I call the pause reflex, a trained ability to slow down your physiology before your mind spirals. Try it next time you're under pressure. Before replying, deciding, or defending, take one slow breath. That pause is power. 2. Detach from outcome. Focus on the process, not the win. The second layer of Stoic training is detachment, not apathy, clarity. The Stoics believed anxiety comes from obsession with outcomes you can't control. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Marcus said, "Do your work well, with a will, then let it go." Modern billionaires quietly apply this principle every day.
Ray Dalio doesn't obsess over being right. He obsesses over learning. Elon Musk doesn't attach his self-worth to a rocket launch. He attaches it to the process of improving. This is what psychologists now call process orientation. Studies from Stanford and Harvard show the people who focus on effort rather than results experience less stress, recover faster from failure, and perform better under pressure. When you detach from the outcome, you free your nervous system from the illusion of control. You stop chasing perfection and start mastering execution. That's why the best leaders can fail publicly and still sleep peacefully. They know their identity isn't tied to results, it's tied to their discipline. So when you feel yourself tightening up, repeat the Stoic mantra. Focus on effort, release the outcome. It's not surrender, it's self-command. 3. Daily Stoic journal, practicing thought hygiene. The third habit is deceptively simple, writing. Marcus Aurelius did it every night. His journal, now known as Meditations, wasn't meant for anyone else. It was thought hygiene. He used the page to clean his mind, inspect his judgments, and remind himself what truly mattered. 2,000 years later, Ryan Holiday follows that same ritual. Every morning, before checking his phone, he journals about what he fears, what he can control, and what he's grateful for. He calls it the Daily Stoic Journal, a space to train perspective before the world floods his mind with noise. Psychologists confirm what Marcus and Ryan already knew. Journaling turns emotion into logic. When you name your fears, they lose their shape. When you write your gratitude, your mind rewires for balance. It's not journaling for performance, it's journaling for peace. You can start with one sentence each morning. What can I control today? What fear can I face? What's one thing I'm grateful for? This simple ritual anchors your nervous system to clarity, no matter how loud the world gets. Science meets Stoicism. Modern neuroscience validates ancient wisdom. Breath control activates the vagus nerve, shifting the brain from fight or flight to calm awareness. Mindful detachment reduces amygdala activity, lowering reactivity to stress. Journaling strengthens neural circuits tied to self-regulation and emotional resilience. In essence, Stoicism was the original nervous system training program. When you breathe, detach, and reflect, you're not escaping life, you're training for it. So imagine this again. Tomorrow morning, your phone buzzes, your inbox overflows, the world is waiting. But instead of rushing, you pause, you take a breath, you choose focus over frenzy. That's not spiritual fluff. That's neurology, discipline, and ancient wisdom working together. Start with just 2 minutes of silence tomorrow. That's your first rep, your billionaire habit training. Because calm isn't a personality trait, it's a muscle. And every breath, every pause, every page you write strengthens it. And here's the truth. Calm isn't about wealth or wisdom. It's about mastering one thing. The richest calm isn't in your bank account. It's in your mind. When rockets explode, when markets crash, when everything you built starts to fall apart, that's when the Stoic trick reveals its power. Elon Musk didn't crumble when failure struck. Marcus Aurelius didn't lose his soul when Rome burned. And you don't have to either. The real wealth they share isn't material, it's emotional control. The ability to pause when the world screams panic. To breathe when everyone else is drowning in chaos. Because calm under fire isn't luck, it's training. It's the daily decision to focus only on what you can control and let go of the rest. When the storm hits, the Stoic doesn't pray for calm seas. He learns to sail better. He knows that the mind, not money, defines peace. That every setback is a test of his discipline, not his destiny. So, the next time you feel pressure, a deal slipping away, an argument boiling, a future uncertain, stop. Ask yourself one question. What truly within my control right now? Then act only there. That's how billionaires stay calm. That's how emperors stay sane. And that's how you begin mastering life's chaos.